Okay, so I have messed around with things here, and this is what I came up with. Does he look like me? Kind of. There's one thing that you can never give elves, which is facial hair. So, I don't know, maybe if he had a little bit of a shadow around there. Maybe. I don't know. I'd have to ask some of my friends or my family whether he kind of looks like me or not. But anyway, that's about as close as I can get given these controls here. The other thing you can adjust is you can adjust the portrait that will be shown on the screen for his character. You can adjust, which way he's looking, what his expression is. I've kept it kind of neutral here, and you can set the background, and of course I am an astronomer, so I put something that kind of looks like a galaxy or a nebula in the background, just because I'm a geek like that. What's interesting is that they compromise on the name customization. So depending on which origin you have, and sometimes I think also which race you choose, your surname is always fixed. Now, in some in some origin stories, that actually comes into play because they want you to be of a specific family. I don't think it comes into play in the mage story. It might, but I don't recall. But, of course, you can set the first name to whatever you want. So go ahead and put in Vexus for the first name. Now, with the appearance done, the next thing, you can either hit Quick Play, which will just set all of the stats to what you would most likely want in your class, or you can do it yourself. I like to customize stuff myself, so here we go. Just a quick rundown of the attributes. Strength. If you are a warrior, you definitely want a lot of this, because the strength will give you a bonus to your weapon attacks. Dexterity, not so important for a mage, but definitely of secondary importance if you're a warrior, and probably of good importance if you're a rogue, which is the third class that you can be, general class. The dexterity gives you bonuses to ranged weapons and knives, which is what you'll be using a lot of if you're a rogue. Willpower, if you are a rogue or a warrior, it will give you lots of stamina, the higher you set it. For a mage, it will give you more mana, which you can use to cast spells. So willpower will be one of the stats we really want to pump up. And the other one we want to get high is, of course, magic, which makes perfect sense. Not quite, almost a kind of a dump stat if you are a warrior or a rogue. But, of course, if you're a mage, this is your primary stat here. Now, cunning is kind of useful. Well, I will say this. It's mostly useful if you're a rogue, because a lot of skills are bound to cunning. I think thieving skills or sneaking skills, that kind of stuff. But from a story point of view, having a lot of cunning will give you extra dialogue options, because it lets you get higher levels of the skill called persuasion. And for persuasion, if you have high cunning, you can get dialogue choices which will successfully allow you to manipulate other characters. Likewise, if you choose to have high persuasion and strength, you can have dialogue options for intimidate. So those are two nice things to think about, whether you're a warrior or maybe a rogue or a mage, as to how you want to manipulate other characters with either your cunning and persuasion or your strength and your intimidation. The last one is Constitution, and that is basically how much damage can you take. As a mage, most of the time we're going to sit in the back rank and throw spells, because that's what mages do, but still something to maybe throw a point into every now and then, because it's nice to have a growing health bar. So let's see, I think for the start we'll put in 2 into our primary stats, and we'll put 1 into cunning. So there we are. And now, depending on what class you choose, you will start out with some starting skills. There aren't many skills in the game. Most of your upgrading and leveling is going to be through talents, which are linked to skills, but are based on which path you take in class development. So here we are. We start out as a mage. We start out with basic tactics and basic herbalism. Tactics allows you to program AI in your companion characters. And of course, you can control any of the party at any given time. So you can choose to make even your main character a AI-controlled character, and when he does, he can follow the rules that you set. So this is where the tactical part of the game can really get involved if that's a part of the game you like. I'm not so into it myself, but I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who enjoy it. So if you really want to set up the AI how you want it, you want to get a high tactics skill here. Combat training. Every character needs this, even mages, because these will unlock the various offensive and defensive abilities. Poison making. If your character wants to start making different poisons and apply them to weapons, that's what you choose. The flip side of that is herbalism, and as a mage we get a free first point in it. This will allow you to craft healing items of various types. There's also survival, which will allow you to basically see enemies from a farther distance so that you can plan ahead. Trap making obviously allows you to make traps. Stealing allows you to steal items from enemies. And this, which is what I consider my favorite skill, is coercion. So when I said persuasion in the last screen, what I meant was coercion. And I like it so much, I'm going to use our extra point to grab one right now. And basically, the higher this skill is, the more likely you are to be able to manipulate other characters to come around to your point of view. So story-wise, this is actually a skill that can affect where the story goes. And so I like to get this skill up high before any others. This is kind of my primary skill. Followed, of course, by combat tactics, because otherwise you're not going to have any cool abilities. So most of the time when I'm leveling up, I'm going to be leveling up these two, coercion and combat tactics, or combat training. Okay, next screen. Now we deal with talents. Talents, see, now are highly based on class. So we have a general mage talents, and then there are basically 4 main schools of magic: primal, creation, spirit, and entropy. You can go for yourself, look at these if you have a copy of the game. I haven't actually tried all of these. So I don't know which ones are particularly good or not. If anyone has any opinions on which spells are really good to have, feel free to comment. I'm going to go with primal just because they're very tried and true. It's just pure elemental magic. So, basically fire, earth, cold, and lightning. So we got 2 points. So I'm going to go start off with fire and lightning. We're going to be an offensive mage in this case. So I think that's everything, and so from here we will be going into the origin story. We'll get an intro on mages, and again, I will try my best as far as the voice acting goes, but apologies if it's not as good as the other characters. So I think that does it. Let's begin. Yes, and choose the difficulty. We're just going to stick with normal. You can go as high as Nightmare if you think you're that awesome. I am not quite that awesome.